Hey guys, Carter here today with the Ekko guide. This guide is for anyone that wants to learn Ekko and just have the basic fundamentals going into your next solo queue games. If you enjoy the guide, like and subscribe for more content. And if you want to see any other type of concepts being shown in future guides or even have specific champions that you yourself enjoy, let me know in the comments below. So these will be the 8 chapters that I will go through for this guide. Let's hop into the first one, pros and cons. For Ekko's pros, he's a strong ganker if you have good W ability usage, and he's a great carry with items, but sadly he does have some rough matchups, which we will cover later on in this video. And as usual, any carry type of jungler, if you get CC'd and are unable to press your R, for Ekko's instance, you will just die. When you are going to game with Ekko, his identity is to find a way to get to 2 to 3 items. If it's with his strong ganking or even good clearing, you must find a way to scale. Your 2 to 3 items is very disgusting in terms of damage and utility, as you will have Protobelt and Zanya in your build order. We will cover that soon in builds. Take advantage of his good traits in ganking, which will allow you to get to the mid game where he shines. Now let's get into builds. First, you got shards, where you will take attack speed, adaptive, and scaling HP shard. You can take flight health shard if you feel like the early game is rough, so keep that in mind. You usually only want to go Sorix because you want to do damage. Back then, you were able to take Tenacity Rune if it was a good Merc Tread game. But I feel like nowadays, if you go Merc Treads, you're just going to not do as much damage. So I would probably only play Ekko in games where you can go Sorix, but if you really need to build Merc Treads, just be wary that you might need to build a Void Staff quite as soon as possible. His first set of runes are Dark Harvest, has very good synergy with his passive, and one of his favorite items are Lich Bane. You want to take Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collector, and Treasure Hunter with Harvest. You can take Relentless Hunter, but I feel like you need money when you play Ekko. And you can pair this with 3 different trees depending on what you want. You can get more damage with Alacrity and Cut Down. You can take free Boots and Cosmic for the consistency of the rune page. Or lastly, Sorcery with Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm for the Giga Scaling. We got one more rune page if you want to limit us interesting builds like Riftmaker first, or like second item I guess. You can go Conquer with these runes. There's nothing else really to take for secondary, as Conquer usually has the best synergy with Inspiration Tree. Last Stand or Cut Down can depend on the game. If you feel like you will get bursted a lot, you can go Last Stand. And more damage if you want to go Cut Down. Your first build, which should be the most consistent build on Ekko, Lich Bane, Rocket Belt, Zanyas. These 3 items all have incredible synergy with Ekko. Ekko is a burst mage assassin, so to say, which Lich Bane is the perfect item for him. Rocket Belt for the mobility, of which it can allow you to land your E, or even get cheeky Q angles. Also, quick pro tip, you can burn Banshee or Edge of Night Shield with Rocket Belt, or even get a quick little Dark Harvest doink. You want to finish off this build with Void or Decap. You go Void if a lot of them is being stacked, or go Decap for the Giga damage. This build is interesting. You can take Conk with this build, Nash or Decap into whatever you think is best. It's a pretty chill build. You can also potentially fit in Riftmaker if you want, because it has great synergy with Conquer. Usually you take this versus probably like 3 to 4 plus melees in the enemy comp, and you just want to be able to consistently hit, and you're not able to really one-shot them with the standard build that we just went over. So this is when you would go this kind of setup. Now for jungle pets, you can go any of the 3 as it says. Blue if you want to run around, red for the extra damage and the slow, which is quite nice, and lastly green for the tankiness. And any of the 3 are viable on Ekko. Usually the highest ranked Ekko OTPs always will usually go green smites from what I noticed, just because they want to be able to get their ult off a good amount of time. And that's what I mean, like just having extra HP, because you don't really need damage later on. So I think to me, if you're going to pick up this champion, go green smite. Now for the matchups, this is a tier list I made for the usually the meta junglers that you should be playing against in solo queue. So if I missed any, or you feel like I wasn't clear on some of the matchups, ask me down in the comments below. You got 4 sections, so let's hop into it. Let's start with very hard. You got some very scary champs on your screen. I think Shyvana matchup shouldn't feel as bad after the nerfs, but I'm not sure. As for the others, they all farm very well and destroy you in the 1v1, so try to avoid isolated fights. But Ekko is a champion where if you find a W angle on them and get a good quick trade in, that's very good for you. You can do that against anyone, so keep that in mind. They do have good short trades. Hard matchups. They can be very hard, like for Nidalee, Lee, and Viego. but usually players have to be very good at them to destroy you. They aren't as straightforward like the very hard champs, which to me are easier to pilot. So I would say in Grandmaster and higher, matchups like Nid Lee Sin can be hard, but in low elo, you are probably fine. Make sure to find not to get invaded, and you should do quite well versus them later on. Use your W well. It's an ability you cannot waste for free. Pretty chill matchups. They can't really like Giga punish you unless you like mess up or get cheesed. Be careful of like random level 1 to 3 invades by like Volley on the Raptor camp starts, Graves, Kane, Talon. They are pretty strong level 1. Some are stronger level 2 and 3. Should be able to just scale into the game for your items versus these champions. And for champs like Vi, Nocturne, Wukong, where level 6 is very good for them, you want to try to counter gank them. Your W can create a lot of space, so try to not to like give them free plays. Easy matchups, well, I guess there's only really 3. To me, these champions are all kind of useless, and you do have a good clear versus them. Jarvan can be rough if they're good, but again, like this champion is just a ganker, which you can also be. You can match ganks and even outclass them. If you know where they start, especially, try to yoink Raptor camps from them, as you are a very strong Raptor taker. And the Jarvan matchup might be not as easy, but I mean, the majority of people who play against this champion and lower MMR, it's just like, you should be able to destroy this matchup. They don't really know what they're doing usually, so yeah. Okay, this is a new section I added for this guide and for future guides, which I didn't previously have. Let me know how it was and if I should improve anything on it down in the comments below. Your first path is Raptor Kha'zix Red. This path is usually to have the highest uptime on your red buff. You can either go fight level 3 after red or go clear your camps and play for your respawn afterwards, which will result in you buying a alternator first recall with the pink. You can watch this clear and you can skip through it or play on 1.5x and do that for the other 3 clears I also have. Yeah, just I'm pretty sure I did this pretty efficiently, if I recall. Not sure, maybe a little bit could have been better, but yeah, this is one of these standard paths. Now we got Raptor, Red, Krugs. So for this path, it's for, you can find a potential level 3 gank on the side you start on. So if you start blue side Raptors, you can gank their bot lane. And if you start top side Raptors, you can gank their top laner. Or you can just base after your 3 camps for a Dark Seal. You do this path usually for 2 reasons. You want to get a base advantage for a fight on the other side of the map, or you want to level 3 gank into a dive, which could just be, yeah, a pretty easy potential play if you have a very volatile matchup in the side lanes. So usually you don't really want to visit mid, unless of course like it's very apparent that you can go. But yeah, it's usually ganking one of the side lanes and then basing for Dark Seal. And you have usually perfect gold for Dark Seal plus pinks. Oh, not pinks. 1 pink if you do this. And you can also drop a ward in the tri bush for your base. So when you do this Kha'zix, you go ward the tri. And then channel your base while killing all the Kruggies. And then, yeah. And you see your base here. Dark Seal. Probably have to wait in base for a little bit, which is fine. And then you can swap to red if you dropped your ward. And then you get a pink. Now, red Krugs Raptors. This is the most, actually this is the standard path for jungle, which is where you do your 3 camps and look for opportunities after. If there's like nothing to do, go to your next camps, and while you're on them, always pay attention to the map, either using F keys or looking at the minimap to see if there is a potential play. And yeah, you do red Krugs Raptors, and then after that, you always think about a gank or a dive. And if there's nothing, you go to the next jungle quadrant. It can also be their jungle, where you can play to invade if you have power in your lanes. But yeah, it's pretty much up to you. Yeah, just watch this clear, 1.5x, or yeah, just skip to the last clear I have for this video. Now, the last clear. Raptors into enemy blue and Gromp. This is a good path to potentially look for a level 3 bot dive, or even just base for your item and either go defend your other side of the map from the enemy jungler from taking your camps, or even diving your laner. Or you can just go back to your red and play on your strong side, because maybe it wasn't the correct timer to really play on the bot wave. Like sometimes bot lane matchups might not be too aggressive on the third, fourth wave, which is when you are level 3 when you do this path. And they get a lot more, tend to be a lot more aggressive maybe on the bounce back. So on maybe on the fourth, fifth, sixth wave. So sometimes basing, getting your item, then going to do your red buff, you know, makes you a very strong champion. Any jungler with red buff, like he wants to potentially fight. That is your go button. So yeah, you do this path when you think they don't have a war on you and you want to strong side their ball in, well, your ball in, and because they have a hard winning matchup. So yeah, you can do this cheese path on actually any jungler, pretty much. And as you can see, if you want to dive, you're gonna be level 3. And you can just base and just do the same old usual, just dark steel pink, and you can buy a red trinket. Okay, let's get into gameplay, guys. It's pretty basic, I would say, as Ekko is a pretty simple champion. In the early game, you want to do your 3 camps and then start looking for gank angles and flash burns. Also look for plays after your 3rd camp and play with your camp respawns. You're also a great tower diver because it's hard for them to just escape if you sandwich them. Now for the mid game, you want to play with your setup so they can help you land your W ability. Finding angles is a good way to start fights or even cause chaos in the backline or make a pick even, so make sure to look out for those. For how much your zone your W creates, you can have very good control of an area, especially neutral objectives, Dragon and Baron. Lastly, for the late game, where it's basically just team fighting pretty much, use your W wisely, even if you are throwing it out to zone the enemy. That's already like really good. You don't need to jump into each W. Also keep in mind that you can go in and out of the fights with your ult, or even find a fat ult hit on the carries while doing that. You are able to split push reliably well on Ekko, as you will have Lichbane and are already a good tower taker naturally. So now we got mechanics. First is, if you miss your Q1, you E Portabolt auto, and then your Q2 will land. Next one is E auto flash. You basically won't take tower aggro if you do it correctly. Now you got Q flash auto E auto. Pretty simple burst combo. And lastly, your last combo is EQ auto Portabolt auto. And that's pretty much it for Ekko combos. I know there's like maybe like some really sneaky ones where you can proc your W without actually being in there with ult, but I mean these are the basic combos for Ekko. This champ, pretty easy to play. The only thing you need to be mindful of is as soon as you get like the abilities on lock, like the combos, you need to learn how to use your W to make the most out of it. You can do a lot of cheeky stuff in the early game, and just remember that you aren't super strong 1v1 a good amount of time, but you can have impact in the numbered fights quite well. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you have any questions on today's content, please let me know down in the comments below. I'm always trying to improve guides, and this is one of many that I want to post. I'm planning to do at least 3 to 4 champion guides a month to cover any genre and help anyone try to get some basic fundamentals for them to use in their rank games. The next guide will be Hecarim, which I'll be releasing probably later this week or next week. I also have a Patreon service so you guys can check out. Check out the Adapt tier, which you can get 20% off coaching and get any coaching vaults for only $9.99 a month. We also have discussions in the Discord for anyone trying to improve at League. All links in the description below. Hope you guys get that LP in solo queue. See you guys next time.